What's good, fam? It's Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today I want to talk about something that I'm not real familiar with, a sport that I'm not real familiar with, and that's the NBA. They're going to be reopening the NBA. So for those of you that are really into basketball, I got a little bit of information for you, as that does impact the culture. So the NBA season resuming, the 2019-2020 season resuming, is tentatively supposed to start July 31st. A lot of changes that are going to change the sports world, I think. With football season coming shortly thereafter starting, I think the NBA is kind of setting the tone, and it's kind of the guinea pig, really, to be honest, in this whole thing as far as how this is going to work. So, because of the pandemic, obviously, the season was suspended, not canceled, suspended March 11th. Of this year, and then it's going to resume, like I said, July 31st. So that's 100. From what I read, that's 142 days without basketball, which is longer than the off season. So that's why that's kind of a big deal. So during that time off, did the players, because everybody's quarantined, right? So did they keep their bodies in shape? Is the question, right? All these guys are rich, so were they still training, lifting weights, running, doing whatever at their residence, at their homes, right? It's a little bit different because now that gets into a whole area of self-discipline and mastering your craft and taking care of your career and so on while this whole ordeal is going on. They're not at they weren't at the various arenas. They didn't have their trainers. They didn't have their coaches. They didn't have whatever coordinators, and of course all the medical team and everything that's there, as well as the camaraderie and the boosting of each other physically there, right? As a whole, maybe a couple guys got together that were real close and they would kind of practice or do that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see who took care of their body. And the reason why I think this is a big deal is, will the superstars of before still be the superstars now? Is there going to be a new emergence of, obviously LeBron will still be LeBron, I would assume. But what about some of these other guys? Are they going to be all of a sudden the new whoever, the new big guy on campus? So it'll be interesting to kind of see. There's going to be 22 teams resuming as opposed to 30. And from what I understand, it's because the other 8 teams, I guess just didn't have a chance, I guess, maybe. But it's going to be 22 teams instead of the 30 coming back. Something that's going to be different is there's a Disney in Florida, Orlando, I think, which is Disney World, right? Disney World in Florida is going to house all the players. I mean, it's a huge complex. They're going to have it to where everybody's there. And I guess it's kind of going to be, from here on out, tournament style, which is like process of elimination. So this will be interesting as well, because by everyone still being housed on the same property, I think it's going to change the dynamic of a lot of things. It's going to impact the game totally differently. It's going to get rid of travel, right? There's not going to be any fans, right? So that's going to really impact the whole deal, because the energy and the whole travel wears and tears and the home court advantage and that kind of thing, all that's done with, like, at least for now. Who knows what the future holds? But for the reopening, that's done with. So everybody's going to be on the same complex, and so there's not going to be, like I said, the whole traveling and all that. And that's to keep exposure down to COVID, right? No fans because of COVID. So it's going to change that whole ordeal, and we'll see what happens, because obviously we're still talking about a lot of individuals. So is someone, what if somebody gets infected? How is that going to impact the whole deal? I've got to believe, obviously, everybody's being tested, but you're still talking about a lot of people, because you're still talking about, even they're on the same complex, I mean, these guys still got to eat. There's still a whole staff that keeps everything clean, the whole coaching staff, executive level management, the players themselves. Are they going to have family around or not, or periodically? The people that just take care of the whole complex itself, your whole TV crews. Obviously ESPN is going to be filming all these games, as well as whatever, NBC, CBS, and all the affiliates. So there's still a lot of people. then of course all those people are they going? They're not. I don't believe that they're going to be just housed on the complex. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I mean, you're still talking about, you know, hundreds, if not possibly, you know, thousand or a couple thousand people still involved. And the season is supposed to go, from what I understand, all the way until sometime in October. I don't know if if it's, you know, when it gets down to the semifinals and the finals, or, you know, we'll just say down to the finals. Is it going to be 7 games? Is it going to be 5? Is it best of 3? Like how you know, is that going to change? So, but from what I understand, October is supposed to go all the way until October, right? So from July 31st till sometime in October, just kind of depending on the finals, right? So were the players, how would they be? It'd be interesting because they're not going to have any distractions, right? Because they're all in the same complex here. So that's going to be a little different. But then the other piece that I found to be very interesting is there is a quick turnaround. So the 2019-2020 season wrapping up in October, then the 2020-21 season is tentatively supposed to start December 1st. So that means when those teams that make it into the finals, right, and then they're done in October, I mean, the turnaround time to get right back out there is less than 2 months, right? Less than 2 months. So, I mean, even if the finals were done October 1, which that's not going to happen, but let's just say for whatever reason the finals were done October 1st, okay, so then all of October, all of November, then you're starting December 1, the 2020-2021 NBA season? That's crazy. So, and that's not going to happen. So the turnaround time is 40 days, 45 days tops, I would venture to say. So that's going to take this is where you're going to see who is really the athlete, who is the champion of endurance and stamina and really honed in on their skills and that whole kind of deal. So COVID is doing a big number on things, and we're just going to see what happens. I'm going to probably do some more videos as this, because this is a big deal. You know, the sports period, as a whole has a big influence on the culture. NBA specifically, NFL for sure, and then even some of the other sports, but not as much. I think NBA and NFL are the biggest ones that really impact the culture. You know, of course, there's baseball, right, and there's hockey. You know, but there's, you know, Subban, right, who I've mentioned before in other videos. There's not really a whole lot of brothers, the people of color, in those other sports. But we'll see how this plays out. But hey, mark your Direct TVs or your TiVo if you're still using TiVo, whatever. July 31st, season cranks back up, and we'll see what happens with the NBA. If I think of it, I will put a list in here of what the 22 teams are that are going to start again. But until then, appreciate your time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Let me know what other topics you'd like for me to cover. I'm going to be having more guests, but this is Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood. Peace.